Uh, Hello and welcome to the Noble Helium webinar, the quarterly update. Firstly, let me apologise for yesterday's technical glitch. It was outside of our sort of chairman of Noble Helium, who will walk through a presentation to provide an update on the company's activities. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to ask any questions while Dennis is talking, and we'll look to attend to those at the end of the webinar, at the end of the presentation. I'll be putting to Dennis at the end of this presentation as well. At the end of the webinar, a transcription will be sent to every participant, so you've got a recording to go back through after that. And if you have any future questions, by all means, I'll send an email to let you questions. Without any further ado, though, I'd now like to bring on Dennis to do the webinar.
Thanks very much, Gareth, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to my fellow shareholders, albeit it's 1 o'clock in the morning in Edinburgh here. I'm just checking, Gareth. Can you see the presentation, and is everything okay?
Yes, absolutely, Dennis. You're away.
Okay, well, thanks very much. And as Gareth says, I'll talk you through the presentation, and then we've had a number of questions which I'll answer at the end. And I understand that there's been a lot of changes in the business recently, but I'm introducing myself as well as doing this presentation. And what I'd like to say that I'll give you my contact details, and I'm available if anybody wants to talk to me. So let me just talk you through the presentation, deal with the questions at the end. And I see this as a start of an open and continuing dialogue with our shareholder base. So if I talk you through the presentation, and we talk a little bit about a Noble Helium and helium in general, inarguably one of the biggest pools of one of the world's scarcest commodities, helium, is present in Tanzania, and it's a world-class accumulation that Noble Helium has. And because Tanzania, when you helium as a product, as a resource, there's a very unique geological dynamic that actually produces it. And we believe that Tanzania has a unique geological dynamic, so much so that it has 30 helium targets over a 300-kilometer fairway. And the new team that's stepping up to address this potential, I believe, brings the experience and proven track record in order to bring this resource to market. And we'll be looking to strengthen the team as we expand. Now, if we look at helium as a product, there's a lot of buzz around rare earths, and we believe it won't take long before helium is added to that buzz. Semiconductors, AI, fusion, medical technology, and emerging transportation technology, they all need helium. And in fact, helium is a key enabler. And if you look at nuclear fusion, the huge amount of money that's going into that, it cannot be realized without helium. If I move on and I talk about demand, annual demand for helium is forecast to increase 100% to 322 million scruffs in 2035. This is a huge increase. This is a massive increase. And the present helium resource will not meet that demand. We have to find new helium. It's as simple as that. If I move on and I talk about the commercials of helium, helium is 50 times the price of LNG. And looking at the value of the same quantum of helium compared to methane, there's a huge value leap. Looking at methane, for the same quantity, $7,580 you would accumulate in methane. The equivalent in helium is 450,000. That's a massive increase. And if we look at where helium's value, sorry, I beg your pardon, let's go back. The price of helium basically means a little makes a lot. So if we compare methane to helium in terms of value, I beg your pardon. If I move on and talk about the geographical diversity, there's only four places on Earth that produces helium: United States, Russia, Qatar, and Algeria. And we actually believe that it needs another province, and Tanzania would be that province. Noble, as a helium province, has 4 primary projects. I'm sorry, I can't see this. If I go back, sorry. Noble has 4 primary helium projects in the East African rift system. And there's, excuse me. I beg your pardon, this is, yeah. Noble has 4 primary helium projects along the East African rift system. And there's few new sources are being discovered. 90%, 95% is being produced by natural gas, and only very few provinces in the world actually have the same helium capacity as we do in Tanzania. Looking at the global helium production, only four countries produce helium: the USA, Russia, Qatar, and Algeria. Our aim is to introduce a 4th, Tanzania. And we actually believe that Tanzania as a province has tremendous potential. Noble has 4 primary helium projects, along with the geologically rich East African rift system. And the rift system is a geological phenomena. It produces exceptionally high helium concentration, unique to any system in the world.
Okay.
Are you there?
Next slide, Dennis. I've just put the updated slide. Yes, I'm sharing my screen. So
So what are the Tanzanian opportunities along the helium fairway between North Rukwa and North Nyasa? Well, we know the prospects have an average helium percentage of 7.4%, and that compares to 0.3% in the US, and the maximum helium percentage of 18% compared to 10% in the US. Can you go on to the next slide, please? If you look at the geological dynamics, as well as the dry shallow gas targets of the deeper eastern margin, we believe a significant helium potential exists in the North Rukwa deep eastern margin. Can you go back to the previous slide, please? Yeah. No. Coming back to the targets that are in the Rukwa, we've identified 25 shallow dry gas leads in the Rukwa region along the western margin. 25 leads of this helium magnitude, I believe, is a unique province of abundance. Can you go back to slide 13, please? No. If you move on to slide 14. Another amazing opportunity in terms of resource in the Tanzanian prospect is the Kinambo prospect. What we've actually seen is gas bubbles in the shallow atmospheric conditions, and soil sampling in the 9 potential well locations shows significant above atmospheric helium concentration. Next slide, please. And another interesting potential for our Tanzanian project is natural hydrogen. Natural hydrogen is becoming a thing. If you look at Coloma in the US, which has Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos as investors at 15% each, natural hydrogen could, along with helium, become a very big thing. And we believe that our prospects in Tanzania have natural hydrogen potential. Next slide, please. Look, to close, I'd just like to say a few words on the team. We've got issues in Noble Helium. It's true. And I can understand that the shareholders are disappointed with the share price. But I got into this project because I firmly believe that helium is going to be a thing. I put 2.5 million of my own money into this, and I didn't do it lightly. I've had success in my life in other prospects, and I believe that the Tanzanian prospect is one of the best investments that I could potentially make. All of the team that have come into the company are investors. We're not taking a wage. We're not looking for options. What we're looking to do is to turn this business around and to realize the potential that's in Tanzania. So I'm sorry that some of the slides and the general IT was not ideal. But I'm absolutely committed to making this thing work. We've had tremendous success in Warrego and other areas. We're gonna apply the same rigid focus on what in Noble Helium, and we believe that we can turn this business around and make it work. Yeah.
Thank you for that presentation, Dennis. I've got a number of questions here. Some you've already answered throughout the webinar, but just touching back on your investment in Noble Helium, can you just sort of expand on why you made that investment and what opportunity you see ahead for Noble?
Well, look, I put 2.5 million in Noble Helium in mid-2023, and I invested because after research in the market, I became convinced that the helium's scarce but essential. And I strongly believe that the demand will increase over time. Other sophisticated investors followed me into the company. And as I looked across the helium spectrum, I believe that Noble Helium had the unique dynamics of the geological dynamics to produce the helium, and also the size, the scale of the potential prize. The average small pools in the US would be around about 1.5 Bs of gas. We could potentially have 90 Bs of gas in Tanzania. And that's why I put my money in.
So you've had one thing I'd really like to touch on, I suppose, call this captain's privilege, if I could ask my own question. You've had good success with Warrego Energy in Australia, took it from scratch and to a multi-million-dollar sale to Hancock. What parallels do you draw between Noble Helium and the Warrego Energy experience?
Well, I think there's tremendous parallels. If you look at the Perth Basin, it was pretty unloved as an oil and gas province. Only a few companies saw the potentials. And I think that's pretty similar to helium. You know, the Perth Basin has subsequently become one of the hottest provinces in Australia and continues to expand and prosper. With the arrival of large-scale, well-funded players, that invariably changes the dynamic. But understanding the dynamics of a rapidly developing market area and position the company to exploit that dynamic, I think that's a skill that I can bring from Warrego into Noble Helium.
Okay, given a few questions, pretty, I suppose, representative of the many questions I've been receiving over the past few weeks and this week in the lead up to the webinar. Given Noble's share price has underperformed over the past year, what strategies do you think the board should consider enhancing the company's market position?
Well, look, we're currently looking at the strategy, but the board are concentrating on dealing with the issues of the day. To be quite frank, the Marriott rig is presently cold stacked on the Mbalele site in Rukwa, and we're discussing with Marriott to resolve this situation. There's a number of key regulatory issues that are being addressed, and you know, we're discussing with the government in terms of what we can do, the tax authorities, etc. And some of the companies' existing funding arrangements require resolution. So we've got challenges in the business, but we believe that we can meet those challenges. And in tandem with dealing with the historic issues, the board's looking to increase the opportunities and the options that we have in terms of funding. We believe that we can take European and UK funding options into the business once we've met the existing challenges that we're faced with. We also intend to keep our fellow shareholders fully informed and work as quickly as possible to produce a competent strategy commensurate with our potential. And we intend to have a regular podcast and a regular communications with our shareholders once a month as we move forward.
So the biggest question on everyone's lips is, you know, Mbalele, a phenomenal target, but is it still the plan to conduct drilling there this year?
Well, I think Mbalele is an important, potentially large dry gas resource, you know, and along with other similar targets will be a key part of our up and coming strategy. And it may well be that Mbalele is undertaken as a priority.
And further to that, shareholders have expressed concerns regarding funding. How do you plan to address those concerns as a board?
Well, the new board are urgently reviewing the existing financing arrangements with a view to developing a range of suitable funding options, and we'll keep shareholders informed. and we understand this is important as it develops. As I said, I put a large amount of my own money into this, and it may be that I actually invest more, but I don't intend to fail with regards to Noble Helium. What we want to do is address the historic issues, address the challenges that we have in front of us. And we have a number of, because of the success of Warrego and other things that we've done, we have a number of shareholders that will follow us and support us if we can make the case and if we can deal with the historic issues.
So talking about the board, what do they bring to the table? I mean, you sound very bullish, but where do they sort of serve this overall purpose, bringing the company back to its full potential?
Well, in terms of the new board, well, I actually appreciate the commitment, experience, and vision provided, and the new skills that the new board members bring. We're also talking to a number of other individuals, and as we deal with the challenges and as the company moves ahead, there may be other people that we bring into the mix in order for us to realize the potential of the business. But the new board also intend to bring their own unique skills and their own unique access to capital and their own unique Rolodex, so to speak. And actually, the new board has tremendous access to European and Middle Eastern technology and capital. And we've actually been very busy behind the scenes talking to a number of financial providers and technology providers that we're looking to bring into the business.
So while I suppose drilling plans are still being revised, I get the sense that there has been more opportunities emerging along the eastern fair. Do you have any sense at all about sort of how many drill holes or what sort of depths you'll be doing?
Well, we're very fortunate to have Justin, who's probably one of the world's authorities on the Tanzanian project, continuing to work with us and will continue to work with us, and the biggest shareholder in the business. And we're currently reviewing what the best option is with regards to the next phase of the drilling. And we hope to come out with something quite soon and say, look, this is what we're going to do.
And that'll be reconciled against sort of funding,
Yes.
Available funds. Okay.
Very
That'd
much
be
so.
The two biggest questions that we're receiving or have been receiving. So I suppose a good question here from Will, where do you see the company in 12 months' time? If you could wave, I suppose, a magic wand, what would be a good sort of scenario?
Well, in 12 months' time, what I see is the company resolving its current historic issues. I see it having a very clear vision and focus with regards to becoming the fifth biggest province in the world with regards to helium, and proving up the resource that I personally believe is there.
Mm. And look, I think we've addressed most of the questions, but one might be a good one to finish with, and just to re-emphasise is that you do have skin in the game and you've got a vested interest, and nobody is sort of more committed to turning this company around than you.
No, that's true, but it isn't just me. I brought several of my co-investors in Warrego into the business, and I convinced them as to the value and the importance of Noble Helium. Tanzania as a province has a very unique geological dynamic. Helium as a product is very unique. You can't make it artificially. And most of the helium in the world is made through taking small percentages out of hydrocarbon, very large hydrocarbon streams. But Tanzania really has the tremendous potential of producing enormous amounts of helium in a very concentrated area. And I believe that once we prove it up, then the investors and the success will follow. There's been lots of times when we were developing Warrego, when we were down to $100, and we didn't know if we could move the business forward, but we did. We're nowhere near in the same situation in Noble Helium. And what we're looking to do over the next couple of months is deal with the historic issues, come up with the correct strategy, get additional funding in. And if it means that I personally have to put more funding in, then I'll certainly consider that and really realize the potential of this tremendous opportunity in Tanzania.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. I think we've covered the, I suppose, the sentiment of many of the questions we've received during the week. For those questions that are more specific, I'll come back to them with direct answers from you, Dennis. On that note, I'd like to bring the webinar to a close, and I hope we've gone a long way to sort of introducing you to shareholders and explaining where we're at in the company's sort of growth cycle.
Yeah, so look, in terms of webinars across the world, there's going to be general hiccups, but I'm available to talk to any of the shareholders, and I'll put my contact details out there. And my job is to realize the potential in Noble Helium in Tanzania, deal with the issues of the day, and there's a few issues to be dealt with, but I firmly believe that we can build a massive company on the back of the forthcoming realization that helium is an absolutely essential commodity to the future development of many technologies that the world really needs.
All right, thank you for that, Dennis. I'll now bring the webinar to a close and attend to correspondence after this. Thank you for that. Thank you for your participation, and thank you for the participation of registrants today. Thank you.
Cheers now. Bye. Yeah.